Welcome to the Whiskey Congress. Honest, open talk dedicated to speaking the truth to those who are open to hearing it. Black, white, right, left. Most importantly, honest, bold, and fueled by good whiskey. In Whiskey Veritas, we are Whiskey Congress. Join the evolution.
All right, so welcome to Whiskey Congress. We're doing something a little different today. We talk about so much serious shit. Let's just fuck around, drink some whiskey, and talk about fun things.
Ease off it, bro. We got to ease off it a little bit,
You
know?
Don't tase me, bro. So we talk about movies pretty regularly on the show, sometimes in art imitating life and vice versa. And so there's certain movies that just drive me nuts because they get too much acclaim, and there's certain movies that I can't believe don't get more respect than they deserve.
Right. So what we're gonna do a short list of underrated, overrated movies. Jim and I independently came up with our 3 most underrated movies and our 3 most overrated movies. We're gonna talk about them here a little bit today. It is fun. It is light. I mean, I've been begging for something like this just because it feels like, with Trump and the administration and everything with him, it is nonstop politics. I feel like we're drubbing you over the head.
With the occasional possible war on the way.
Or, it's crazy, right?
Or someone getting shot and getting covered
politics, up. Twitter, sexual abuse, like racism, murder. It's all dark and heavy. So, we decided to do something a little on the light side. So hopefully we can keep you all engaged and have fun, and you have fun with us. Please let us know if you agree on social media, whether it's Whiskey Congress, it's Whiskey
Twitter,
Congress,
Instagram.
everything, but whether it's Instagram or Twitter, Facebook, at Whiskey Congress on Instagram, at Whiskey Congress on Twitter, Facebook.com/Whiskey Congress, any of those entities, or you can email us, Steve or Jim at whiskeycongress.com. If you agree with us, let us know. If you disagree, if you like
call
the
us
list,
out,
you hate it,
or give us your top 3 in each.
Yeah, actually, that'd be great. Give us, give us your top 3.
We should also qualify that we're doing this after recording a show, so there's been whiskey consumed for a bit over an hour, so this could get a little loose, but let's see how it goes.
We'll try to rein it in.
Yeah, we won't be silly.
We will try to avoid devolving. That's the one thing where I think we're getting better at.
I think we're much better. I think and when you. The worst offender when it came to overdoing it with our old show was definitely me. But let's not go down that road.
Let's get
right into our list. You want to start with overrated or underrated?
I want to start with underrated. We'll start with the least. We'll start with like the one at the bottom. We'll go at the bottom, work to the least to most. So my number 3 is the most underrated. One of the most underrated movies in my mind.
Right. Sure.
Is The Departed. Now, there's a qualification statement there with the movie The Departed. It's starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson,
Matt Damon, Alec Baldwin,
Mark
Wahlberg.
Yes.
Yes. Martin Sheen.
Anthony, Blackish. Anthony.
I'm not going to come up with his name.
I keep wanting to say Anthony Davis, but he's
not Anthony Davis, no. We're still also missing shit.
A lot of big names.
Ton of big names. Directed by Martin Scorsese.
Right. I love that movie. I just the storyline, the way it was all put together. I thought it was great. The caveat is that when it came out, it's a movie that got a lot of acclaim.
Yeah, ton of acclaim. Right.
And
I'm surprised you call it underrated because it did get.
Yeah, but I guess. When you ask people about their favorite, like Crime Boss or cop movie, whatever,
gangster movie,
it doesn't really get pulled into the conversation, and it may be because people are finding it hard to classify. But I debated on it because I know it did get a lot of acclaim early, but I don't know if people still really think about it the way that I do. Because it's a movie that I watch. I see it on, whether it's on fucking TBS or HBO. I watch it. I get annoyed when I see it on.
I can't watch it on TBS.
If I see it on TBS or whatever.
Okay.
So
if
then,
you take the
as
language
soon
out
as
of
I
that movie,
as soon as I do that, I see it. I'm like, why am I watching it on this? I'll pull it up on Netflix or I'll put it in the DVD or whatever,
right?
And watch it. So it's up there. So maybe truth be told, I maybe threw it in there. I was like, somehow it's one of my favorite movies, so I'm just fuck it. I'm just gonna throw it in there. But I still think it's underrated.
The funny thing about it to me is, it's really about Whitey Bulger before the Whitey Bulger story fully plays out, right?
Yeah, and that's a weird thing.
It's thinly veiled.
Right. I mean, it's very thinly veiled, and obviously I went to UMass, and the Whitey Bulger story is directly connected to the university that I went to because his brother was the
president of the University of Massachusetts, right?
University that I went to, and like he was deposed during, like while I was sitting on.
Well, you were there
while I was there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. They pulled him in and he had to give a deposition. It's just like, all right, well that's something.
So about your brother murdering people,
right.
And hey, you kids get to class on time,
right? Seriously. So it's. I think I just think the story, like, so if you haven't seen The Departed, right? Because again, it's underrated in my book, so that means there are people out there who maybe haven't seen it.
I mean, it got a ton of.
It did. I loved it, but I just don't feel like anyone talks about it right now.
True. It doesn't. It unlike Goodfellas and The Godfather and
right. I mean, it's not up there, and I feel that it should be. You have a classic ending, right? That's not like a happy ending.
That's true,
right? And so,
spoiler alert, though. We just said if you haven't seen it, don't.
Well, right,
it does have
exactly.
A good ending.
I mean, you essentially have a cop that graduates from officer training school or whatever,
right?
Gets sucked into an undercover job, goes into the gangster life,
underbelly
of plays it both sides, gets really deep into it, and then has to figure out a way out.
There's two things about that movie that I think make me give it the underrated label, or come along a bit with the underrated label, and that is, and maybe I think I'm a weirdo for this, but the scene when DiCaprio gets it on with the psychiatrist, I think is one of the coolest scenes of that nature.
Very
ever.
cool, and she was very hot.
She was, but she was hot and attainable hot. She wasn't like, you know what I'm saying?
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
She was not, Scarlett Johansson at her best or Halle Berry. I mean, she looked like she could have really been a psychiatrist. This could totally change tracks, but there was one James Bond movie with Denise Richards. Denise Richards plays Dr. Christmas Jones, I believe is her name. Is like, you are not a nuclear physicist, Denise Richards. I'm sorry.
There's just no.
Not to be disrespectful, but come on. She looked like she could have been a police psychiatrist. And when that scene gets going,
she fit. They cast it very well. She fit the role. And you're just like, yeah, that makes total sense. I definitely feel that had I been in that situation, I would have done the same thing. I definitely would have had sex with her as she was moving out of her apartment to move in with her fiance.
Right.
So
that scene is one of my favorite scenes in that movie. And I also thought it was kind of subtle, but when they're trying to depict how stressful that double life is on DiCaprio, and he's literally like at the airport just throwing down pills. They don't specify what, but
it's just like,
there's not many movies that depict like anxiety / fear, stress, whatever, use of prescription drugs.
Right.
There's plenty of drinking, plenty of pot, plenty of other drugs. Rarely see that.
Going back to the scene with the psychiatrist, what kicks that scene off is when she says to him, "You're vulnerable."
Right, like your vulnerability is really freaking me out.
Right, like
is it real?
Right, like your vulnerability is freaking me out. Is it real? And his kind of non-reaction to it, like, I don't.
His pause is, I think so. I believe.
Right, and you're kind of like, and I'm just like, I'm not 100% sure what that means.
Right,
but then, like, when you think about it, the position that this guy is in, where he, you go through officer training to be a police officer. You need to be a hard ass. You need to, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then you get pulled into this assignment where you need to be a hard ass. You can't show any weakness.
And by the way, you might get murdered at any minute because you're working for a sociopath.
And then finally you get to a point where you have to talk to someone. You talk to the psychiatrist. Boundaries.
Pretending to be the fake person, though,
right? Right. And well, no, because she knows he's a cop.
No, not at that. No, she never does. She doesn't know he's a cop until the tape comes in. And then we're going to give away the movie. but she believes she believes he is a former trainee who spent time in jail and is going through mandatory.
Oh yeah, right. But she knows he's got some
background in there, yeah,
right. And so that whole relationship, to me, like that's so integral to this, to the point where he's talking to her. It's mandatory, but he's actually saying, "Listen, I'm spinning out.
I'm here because I'm here because I have to be.
I'm here because I need to be, because I am spinning out of control. I don't know what the fuck is going on. And oh, by the way, there's a chance I may end up dead, and I need you to have my back once I'm dead." Right, which is essentially kind of what he transfers when he hands her the tape. But so I don't know. It's a deep, and then there's also the corny thing, right? Every time somebody dies, there's an X in the image, right?
Was that?
Okay, so the one thing about that story or that movie is every time someone dies,
okay,
right? Like, and a lot of people die in that movie.
Yes.
If you look on screen, there is an X.
I do not know this.
Yes. And it's corny, and you're like, okay, fine, whatever. You hear it, it catches your eye, and then you watch, and there is, right? And there've been a couple times, there's a couple scenes where you have to kind of rewind and say, no, there wasn't, and then you're like, oh, yep, there it is. But every time you see something, every time someone dies in the movie, somewhere in the frame when that person dies, meets their end, there is an X represented. I mean, I don't know why.
Oh well,
I mean, maybe
Scorsese
it's
doing the
Scorsese, a little subliminal, a strikeout, like, oh, you're gone, and I don't know how many X's there are. So if you do the X's, I don't know if Scorsese is a baseball fan or something like that.
Right, the backwards K.
Right, does it equal?
Does it killed looking you?
Right, does it equal a baseball game? I don't know. That'd be actually kind of cool if he did that. But so there's that element. So if you do watch it or you watch it again, watch for people dying, X's in the scenes, things like that. But I think it's an underrated movie, but I think it's a great movie. I don't know how many people would actually argue with me about the quality of the movie, but it is my kind of number 3 underrated movie. What's yours?
Mine is, I'm going a little bit off script here because it's not a movie that went to the theater. It's a movie called 61 Asterisk.
Of course.
It was about, actually, I'm going to change my number 2 on the fly. But my number 3 is a movie called 61, and it's about Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris chasing Babe Ruth's home run record. And Thomas Jane plays
also the Punisher.
I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Barry Pepper plays Maris, and Thomas Jane plays Mantle. And it's done historically accurately. A forward by Billy Crystal talking about going to see Mickey Mantle in the first baseball game he ever went to, and it's just such a cool behind the scenes thing, and it really shows. First of all, when I watch a movie, towards the end, when spoiler alert, Maris hits his 61st home run of the year.
It's not a fucking spoiler alert.
I know.
It's a true story.
I know. I'm joking.
Oh, sorry.
Please. When he does, the hair stands up in the back of my neck. It's such a scene, and the way it's cool in a lot of ways. It's really well done, and and no one fucking knows about it. I think is why I call it the most underrated.
Part of it, though, you're a Yankee fan.
I am.
So that
plays a role.
But
I'm guessing, have you ever seen it?
I haven't.
I'm guessing, even not being a Yankee, even being a Yankee hater, I'm thinking you would love this movie.
Fair, because I am a Yankee hater. I hate the Yankees. I hate the Red Sox. I have every reason and right to.
Absolutely.
And they both just have rated the Indians for years, so that's why. But I will check it out because I do love the history of sports. And so I vaguely remember when this was being promoted. What is it, about 5 years old?
Oh, it's probably closer to 10.
Okay, right. So it's older. I think I remember it being promoted, but I'm sure I could find it somewhere and I'll check it out. So I feel bad. I mean, you've seen The Departed, so we could talk about that more. I haven't seen this, so I don't have a lot of input on it.
This is another. If you haven't seen it,
because
it's
underrated, and so because it's underrated, I haven't seen it because it's not rated high on my board.
When it comes on by chance and you're not doing something else, give it a few minutes. Watching, I'm a Yankee fan, but I was not a Yankee fan in the Maris Mantle days because I wasn't born, believe it or not. So it's just a cool. Yeah, it's really cool. All right, so what's your number 2?
My number 2 underrated, John Wick.
I've never seen John Wick.
Oh, James.
It's all right. Keanu Reeves.
Yep.
Not all right.
So it's Keanu Reeves and not a lot of huge names.
Is this a book? Like, is he a character?
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I don't know if it's based off of a book. I don't remember it as a comic book or ever seeing it. I like it, and so I guess part of it's this movie, but it's also this genre of movie, right? Because a movie like this comes out, and self-proclaimed movie critics see a movie like a John Wick, and I debated between John Wick and one of the Fast and Furiouses, right? Because this is what happens, right? The movie, you see the promo for it, and immediately the self-proclaimed movie critics say it's terrible, it's garbage, it's blah 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 blah, and it's not serious, and you know, like those same people will tell you that The Notebook is a good movie. Go fuck yourself. It's awful.
I've never seen The Notebook either.
Right. I mean, it's just those people who
which
say,
probably
like,
blocked me from getting laid at least one more time in my life, because I'm sure if I went to that movie, that would be my hope for the end of the evening. I don't know why I had to. I don't know the reason I'm watching that movie.
Right. It just so, I mean, it's just, listen, it's an action movie, and my thing is with movies, take them for what they're worth, right? You're not a movie critic. You're not getting paid to figure out if the Notebook or one of those Tom Hanks movies was
with Meg Ryan.
Was something worthwhile, right? One of the World War II movies where he
Saving Private Ryan.
Yes, sorry.
That's a great movie.
Because he did that, and then he did a special on HBO, and I couldn't remember. I think it was like Band of Brothers.
Yeah, it was a 10-part miniseries.
Yeah,
that was also very.
It was also very good, but. Like, not every movie that's produced is going to be Saving Private Ryan, Band of Brothers, The Notebook, Steel Magnolias.
When you're talking about what you're basically saying is sometimes you just want to escape. You want to turn your brain off.
That's it. So sometimes I watch a movie and I just want to have fun. I get that physics and science wouldn't apply, and I get that, well, you couldn't really do this, and, I get all that. Sometimes I just want to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Yes, I am, Russell. I am very entertained. Keep doing what you're doing, bro. Like, so I see a movie like John Wick. It flowed. The story was touching. It's fun. It's a dude killing people and having a really good time, and you can get behind him because they killed his dog and his wife died, and they stole his car, right?
Okay.
Like, I mean, what I mean?
So what separates it from like Die Hard to me is the ultimate.
Well, I don't think Die Hard is underrated.
It's not underrated,
right? I mean, I couldn't put it on. I mean,
right?
But
people. You're right. People mock John Wick. People love Die Hard
because Die Hard came in a different era,
right?
Right? Like that was what made a blockbuster back then. Die Hard, Terminator. Predator, right. I mean, just anything with Arnold Schwarzenegger, essentially, or Sylvester Stallone, Rambo 2, Rambo 3. I mean, like, those movies were those. That's what blockbusters were then. But now there's been an evolution, and so now the it thing to do is to criticize movies in that ilk, in that genre, right? And because if you criticize that movie, then somehow that gives you credibility in the movie judging world, I guess. I mean, that makes you more of an elitist.
Right.
That gives you
It's the I drink Pabst Blue Ribbon or craft beer, but I'll never drink a Miller Lite.
Exactly. Or I drink Lafroig, you drink 10 High, that sort of thing.
You know what? Fuck you. I was. All right.
Ooh.
I drink both. I'm not too good for. So John Wick would be the 10 High of movies. Is that what you're saying?
You almost got
your fancy glass thrown at me. Fine.
$30 glass thrown through your face.
Make it worth it. All right. So
anyway, I mean, I've seen it, and so I would say check it out. Check it out. Have fun. I guess I say this. Lower your expectations, right? Like, you go to people watch these movies. Right? Like, what the fuck is your expectation with a movie? Like, what do you want it to do for you? Like, it's a movie. It's not literally. I mean, now I guess I could argue that I have seen movies that have actually changed my life. Right? There are movies that have changed my thought process to a point where I do things differently, and I think I do them better. There's also been movies I've seen that I think differently, and I do things worse. Right? I was like, you know what? That was so cool. I am just gonna do it. And that's gotten me in trouble. But I mean, I think there's got to be some sort of thing where you're just out there to have fun, right? And so if I guess the anti-gun people and anti-violence are gonna look, oh well, that's what they listen. I can watch John Wick 100 times. I'm not gonna go buy $50,000 in guns and grenades and go on a fucking killing spree. It's not gonna happen. I've seen a million violent movies and I never fucking shot another human being. Right? Like it doesn't like. And I started.
No, I know. I mean,
I started watching these movies when I was a kid. Right? I saw Rambo, all the Rambos when I was a kid. I saw anything with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I saw it 20 times as a kid. I saw Boys in the. I've seen a million violent movies. Right? I listened to rap, all that sort of stuff. I haven't killed or murdered anyone. Right?
You did just threaten to throw a $30 glass at me though. So the violence is in there.
Right. I
don't think John Wick ever used a fancy whiskey glass to kill anyone though.
No, but he drinks he drinks like Blanton's Reserve. He drinks like the green label Blanton's, which is impossible to find, which looks amazing, and I want it.
Now we know the real reason.
And he does kill somebody with a pencil, which in the John Wick 1, it was a rumor or it was a story. In John Wick 2, he does it, which was kind of cool. Anyway.
All right.
So John Wick is my number 2.
My number 2, again, movie. So the cast, Howard E. Rollins, Adolph Caesar, Robert Townsend, Denzel Washington. Very young Denzel Washington. This movie called The Soldier Story.
Okay. Yep.
And have you ever seen this?
I have.
You have now. Okay.
I have now. I mean, you asked me a long time.
Here's the funny thing. Do you remember the first time we talked about this movie? This is before we started.
Wait.
I gave you my copy. I gave you my copy of it, and it was empty.
Yeah, you gave me the case of it.
I gave you the case of it,
and it was
and you
empty
opened it.
Right, and then I told you, and then
I still don't know where it is.
Well, because you asked me,
have you seen it? It's a great movie,
and I said no, I haven't seen it. So then you give me your copy of it,
sort of,
and I believe
sitting at my kitchen table. Yeah,
right.
No, yeah.
So no big deal. I take it home. I let it sit there for like a week or 2 weeks or whatever. And finally,
you opened it right there in my kitchen. You went, it's empty.
Oh, that's right.
And I was like, I'm kind of embarrassed
now. No. I didn't open it in your kitchen. I took it home. We didn't open it in your kitchen. I took it home. I took it home, and then you asked me about it. And when I got home like a week or two later, you're like, "Hey, did you watch it?"
This was 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was 5 years.
Literally.
Yeah,
we had been friends. This is probably the first time you ever came into my apartment. We were hanging out after drinking together and
yes.
having an extra whiskey.
And I could argue that your
my memory is impeachable. On
no.
the
I was
stand.
gonna say you used to keep your apartment neater. It's like devolved now. Anyway.
All right. Anyway,
so
great, fucking movie that no one knows about.
Right.
It's a murder mystery.
I wanted to know more about it, but you gave me an empty case. But since then I have seen it, and
it does play on a lot of stereotypes, right? It basically
there is a lot. It was one of those things where I'm like, I don't know, I didn't, but the cast sounded really strong, so I found a copy of. Actually, I found a copy of it completely by accident at Walmart, just flipping through a bin, and
it was probably $2.99.
Yeah, I was in Youngstown. I was with my dad, and flipping through the bin. I think I bought it for like $6. I think it was $5.99. I bought it, and I think I know that I left it in Youngstown, and who knows what my dad has done with it since then. But solid movie, beginning to end. Cast is very strong,
and it Denzel's a nobody at the time,
right? You don't it's funny because you don't know who. Like if you're watching that time appropriate, then you don't know him, but you're like, huh.
This guy's good, yeah.
He's someone to follow, right? Like I wonder, like he's it's one of those things that if you didn't know who he was, you would kind of start to look up and see what he's been in or what he's going to be in. And who is it? Courtney Vance or
Howard Rollins is the star.
Yeah, but
Robert Townsend is one of the other main.
Oh yeah. Robert Townsend. It just I don't know. I thought
Courtney B. Vance is not in that movie. I don't think. Or is he? I mean, so much of the cast is black, and so many were unknowns at the time that movie came out. He could have been one of the characters. I just don't remember.
I thought maybe
he could
maybe
well be.
Not. Yeah, I mean, because it's been a couple of years since I've seen it. It's weird that movie never. I haven't seen it late.
I got to tell a funny side story.
Okay.
Because you were talking about how you'd see Denzel in that movie and go, "That guy should have become somebody." My ex-girlfriend and I were once. She had never seen The Godfather, and my mom was in town, so it was my girlfriend at the time. My mom and I were driving home from the Botanical Gardens in Cleveland. She just got to see The Godfather. My mom had watched it with us, and my ex says, "Why didn't that one guy was really good in that movie? Why didn't he get any more roles?" So which one? The young brother, the one that takes over. You mean Al Pacino?
Michael Corleone? Oh.
Yes. And she's like, no, the good-looking young guy. That was Al Pacino. No, the kid, the younger brother, the one that's Al Pacino. And she has begged me for years never to reveal that story. We're not together anymore. She said that shit. Wow. She claims to listen to our show. We'll find out when I get the angry phone call or don't.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are you? I mean, listen. No, if you know, I mean, here's the thing. If
in her defense, she'd probably seen him in Scent of a Woman for the first time, and he looks 40 years older because he is, but he's Al Pacino.
I mean, Al Pacino. I mean, he's much older now and has probably had a little bit of work done, but I mean, come on, really? That voice.
Is that story not worth telling?
That's definitely worth telling. I would tell it over and over again. You should probably tell it every time we do
every by the way,
show.
Right. Like Bert Kreischer's I'm the Machine, Jim's ex-girlfriend, why did Al Pacino?
By the way, Bert Kreischer's I'm the Machine, that story of him in Russia
is one of the best fucking jokes ever.
Now, here's a little side story. Bert Kreischer, he's a comedian. I've seen him multiple times here in Cleveland. He's come to the Improv here locally. He had a show on like the Travel Channel that was kind of bizarre. It had nothing to do with comedy. It was like they paid him to go to these different places. But he's another guy. Like, I mean, he's very self-deprecating and you know he's got the dad bod with the belly and everything
he used to perform with no shirt on.
Yes, and he tells this story. One of his stand-up acts is he tells the story of when he went to Russia as a student, and why he took Russian as a language and the whole thing. It's
about a 10-minute bit.
Yeah, it's about 10 minutes long. I think it's hilarious. It's
the best thing about it is I've heard him talk on so many other on podcasts and other venues, and he talks. It's kind of like when Billy Joel does a concert, and people are yelling for Piano Man.
Right.
He as a comic, you want to constantly be doing new stuff because you think your old jokes are past. People have heard them. You want to
stay relevant.
And he says anytime he does a show, he does the I'm the Machine bit. And I've heard him say that he won't do it until the end of the show because he was afraid that if he did it in the beginning, people would stay for that.
People get up and leave.
Yep.
It's a great bit. Look it up.
Yeah. On YouTube, it's everywhere. It is.
Yeah. On YouTube, I Am the Machine. Bert Kreischer. I don't even want to try to spell his last name. It's Kreischcher.
I think you got it.
But
anyway,
it's a funny story. I'm sorry, and I digress. But I mean, I love that bit.
That
now,
is
look
awesome.
at me talking positive about comics.
I know.
He is one of my favorites, though.
His
story about when his daughter was born. Anybody want an episiotomy with the Jamaican doctor? Great. Anyway,
all right.
If you know what an episiotomy is, then it's probably actually not funny, right? It's awful. Anyway.
Right. Okay, so
Soldier Story.
Soldier Story is my number 2 most underrated because I think it's a great movie that nobody knows.
Fair. Very fair.
Okay. Number 1 kind of sucks because we both went with the same movie.
because
we both love this movie. We've talked about
we've
it.
talked about it. It's American Gangster. That movie,
Across 110th Street.
that movie, to me, is my I like American Gangster more than Goodfellas. I'll just tell you that right now. I like American Gangster more than Goodfellas. I do.
I love Goodfellas,
I do too.
but I'm tossing that around in my head right now.
I'm not.
Fair. I mean, I'm
not.
Listen,
this from beginning to end. I love Russell Crowe's character. I love Denzel's character.
Josh Brolin plays a great
Josh
scumbag.
Brolin is such a dirtbag in that movie.
Also, I don't know. I'm sure there's some Hollywood in there, but it is based on a true story.
It's based on a true story. There's a lot of. I researched it, and so Russell Crowe's character is actually a kind of a compilation of a number of people who were involved in the team that took Frank. I want to say Frank Joseph, but
Frank Lucas.
Yeah, the team that took Frank Lucas down was a lot bigger and more expansive.
Oh, sure.
Than just Russell Crowe and this small team of degenerates, and everyone involved in that case will tell you that Denzel Washington gave a certain level of class to the character that did not exist in Frank Lucas. The real Frank Lucas is a scumbag. Now, the truth of the matter is, though, Frank Lucas actually worked for the FBI for a long time after he got out of jail. He did get a very shortened sentence because of the amount of participation he had with the government in terms of, police networks,
dirty cops,
dirty cops, and everybody else, and other drug outlets and things like that.
Oh no, you didn't,
right,
my man,
my nigga. But I just listen. A lot of people give me a hard time and say, "Oh, American Gangster over Goodfellas." Goodfellas and listen, Goodfellas is a great. Listen, I love Goodfellas. Every time Goodfellas is on the TV, I watch it from beginning to end. That's another one where
if I turn the TV on and that's on,
if it's on TNT, then
true, but that's true of me and American Gangster too.
Right. I mean, like if I see Goodfellas on, cable outside of like HBO, Showtime, or Cinemax or whatever, then if I see it on TNT, I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'll just watch it on whatever I'll watch it on
need
Netflix
the language.
or
watching some movies without the original script, where you take out the language,
right? When you cut it out in part,
did I say script?
Well, yeah,
I think I did.
Yeah, but I mean, it does. You're right. It throws it off. Whether it's like I don't need curse words, but I kind of do.
I do.
Right?
I absolutely do.
It flows.
When I watch Joe Pesci going, "You freaking idiot!" I'm like, stop.
Right. It's just it's not the same. So I do. I will go and I watch if I DVD, Netflix, however I have it. I will just watch the whole thing at that point. An American Gangster is that movie for me, and I put it up there. Now, fine. You want to say that I'm partial because the main character, not the good guy, but
right, no,
the guy you're kind of rooting for, I guess, because that movie, and we'll talk about my thoughts on that movie a little bit in terms of where I'm torn, but I'm kind of rooting for Denzel. I'm hoping he can figure out a way to get out of this whole thing, but I'm also rooting for Russell Crowe for different reasons, and so. Like when you watch that movie, you want it all right there.
Ultimately, Denzel, what he's doing is despicable, right? He's pumping the streets full of heroin, and yet he's a likable guy. He's got a family, family man. He's he's lecturing his nephew about you have a chance to be a professional baseball player, and when that kid tells him, "I want to be you, Uncle Frank," he's like, "Fuck, I don't want you to be me. I want you to get out of this shit."
Did this. No, I disagree with that. So in that scene where T.I. is playing his nephew, T.I. is a little rapper, top back. He tells him like I do. He's like, "Hey, I got you a tryout with the Yankees. Why didn't you go? Why wouldn't you? And he's, I want to be like you. You want to be like me. Okay, well, be here. And I don't think it was a debate for him. I think he knew that he had to give them the option, but he was going to, if you wanted to work for him, he was going to use you in his network. Like there wasn't a debate there.
And you were gonna play the way
you were gonna play. You were gonna do what he told you to do, which is why he had his whole family sitting around the table, right? And Idris Elba's character is walking down the street, and he says, "Pardon me, hold on,
right?
fellas."
Oh, jeez.
He walks out and he shoots that dude right in the middle of the fucking street. Like you want, dude, that scene right there, that scene
and then he
right
gives
there.
him
I'm like
20%.
I remember like looking around, like,
What'd you do, Frank? You just shoot me in front of everybody?
right,
Boom.
bam, shoots him right in front of everybody, puts the cup down, and then puts the tip
20% in.
Yeah, puts it in there and comes back and sits down, and everybody
And
is
starts
sitting there like,
eating breakfast again. Yeah.
Okay. Like listen.
Best so many great scenes in that movie.
Oh.
When he goes to the Fraser Ali fight, and when he realizes,
do you know how much
when he throws the chinchilla coat in the fire,
that pissed me off. So not when he threw it in the fire, right? Like I mean, because I'm
right.
pretty sure I'd be allergic to a chinchilla coat with my allergies. So that like I would have done the same thing, right? Like, I mean, I don't know if I don't know
if such a thing exists. I don't know either.
You're right. I don't know if there is such a thing, but when she gave like I'm not fur coat guy. Right, like I'm not fur coat guy. I'm definitely not fur hat guy. Right, she got him a coat and a matching hat, and I'm like, what are you doing? Your suits like because his suit like, and that's important to me for whatever reason. Right, I look at the guy's suits from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. Right, and the ones my eyes are drawn to are the guys who wore suits then. Where I look at those suits and say that could still work right now, right?
Okay.
And that's how I picked my suits, right? Because like if it worked in fucking 1950, 60, 70, then it didn't. Okay, fine.
Right.
Then it can work in 2017, right? And but it does, and that's how I mean, that's how I get my suits cut when I talk to the tailor, and his look in that movie was just so clean and so just perfectly put together that for me, I said, well, I mean, I'm probably not going to go to, Vietnam and get a bunch of heroin and bring it back.
Get heroin straight from the source.
Ruin America. But
if I did, that's what I would wear.
But if I was trying to pick a wardrobe, then,
two very, I won't say underrated because two great performances in that movie that don't get talked about. Cuba Gooding Jr. as Nicky Barnes is great.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, he didn't have many he didn't have many lines.
But what he had was,
right.
When you're playing the stereotypical, I'm going to get busted at some point, drug pusher, who's on top of the world at the time and wants everyone to know it, he was great. And Ruby Dee as his mom was great.
Yeah. That scene where she realized,
don't lie to me, smacks him in the face and says, she's breaking down saying, I turned a blind eye to this because I knew you were taking care of your brothers and I knew you were doing what you, and I knew that there was something wrong, but I didn't ask, but and she is so good in that movie.
And then that scene where Josh Brolin shoots his dog.
Ugh. Right.
Like, just sit, like, the look on his face, like, man.
Well, the scene when Josh Brolin shoots himself is also brilliantly shot too, right? His maid's inside vacuuming.
Right.
He just strolls out to the backyard and just
grabs the paper and then
and you see him blow his brains out like in the background with almost no sound, almost no drama, because again, it's background. It's that's what, and this is why this movie does not get talked about with the level of respect that it should, and we've talked about that many times on our show.
Hold on.
Hey, that's $25,000 alpaca. Put the club soda on there. Central signing ass motherfucker. Hey, don't rub on that. And that's alpaca. That's $25,000 alpaca. Hey, block that. And that's alpaca.
That's my favorite scene from the movie. Listen, at some point in time in my life, I am
going
want
to
an
alpaca rug?
A $25,000 alpaca rug, which do not spill red wine on it. I will make you blot it, and then I will probably kick you in the ass,
or smash your head in a piano, which I believe is what happens.
Well, I won't do that, right? Like,
you don't have a piano.
Well, no.
If you have an alpaca rug, you'll have a piano.
If I got a $25,000 alpaca rug, I probably have a piano. But still, I probably won't smash your head into it because, again, I'm not a murderer.
Does he kill that guy?
No, he doesn't. But,
He
I
does
mean,
smash
there's
his
other
head pretty
people. I mean, he did shoot another guy in the head in the street, so that
True.
qualifies
True.
him as a murderer.
He is, in fact, a murderer. Fair
right?
enough. Oh, no, I'm just saying I didn't remember that. I didn't remember him dying in that scene.
Right. So, anyway, so not only is it one of my most underrated movies, it's obviously one of my top 5 favorite movies. From beginning to end, I love all aspects of it. From beginning to end, to the point where I researched it, found out, the truer story of it, because I think there's a lot of people who have monetary reasons as to why they would or would not sign off on this movie. This movie, I think this situation in real life made and broke a lot of careers. And then the movie in and of itself probably, boosted some people in the attention that they got in their careers as well. And so they have there's a reason why they will
Another great
back it or not.
Another great scene. Maybe so many. When he shows up to bail out his partner who shot a guy in a drug deal.
That clip, by the way, was from the movie American Gangster.
I think.
I just want to make
enough,
sure that we're
right,
giving credits.
Right. Right. Oh yeah. It's not. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need somebody from the internets, from fucking the studios that made the movie.
But the scene, the scene when he tries to get his partner out of the situation where his partner has killed the guy in a drug deal gone bad, and he gets him out of it.
Russell Crowe is doing
that, yeah. And it's such a great movie. So many great scenes. All right, let's move to our overrated list, because we could probably talk about American Gangster as long as the movie was.
Fair.
Which is probably why it got some of the bad reviews, because it wasn't a very long movie. I think it was about 2 hours and 40 minutes. I just think it was fantastic.
I just never noticed. I
I'm
couldn't tell you how long
it
is because I've never noticed.
And one other thing about it, great soundtrack,
unbelievable soundtrack. So there's two soundtracks to that movie. There's the time appropriate soundtrack, and then Jay-Z did a soundtrack to it. So Jay-Z did a separate soundtrack.
I'm sure you're shocked
to it,
I didn't know this.
And both are amazing, right? So Jay-Z did. Technically, he did 2. So there's the time-appropriate soundtrack, which is great, just the music from the era, the 70s, which is the best songs picked. And when you match them up with the scenes, it's even that much better. But Jay-Z did, essentially a soundtrack to the movie. They used it for the promos to the movie, which pulled me in. You throw a Jay-Z track over a movie promo, I'm like, I'm going to see that shit. If that movie matches that, and for this instance, the music that he had for this movie, and when I saw the movie, I was like, this is a match made in heaven.
And the final scene of the movie, when he's walking out of prison, and the song "Fight the Power" by Public Enemy is coming out, I was like, it's a cool song, but it also shows you here's how much time has elapsed between him going in and now Public Enemy is on the scene.
Which the fucked up thing about it is, and this is the last thing, and we'll switch to our overrated movies. But he could have got out earlier than he did. But he had a very short sentence initially. He gets out of prison and gets busted again for dealing drugs, and ends up going back to prison to serve another 5 years in jail. But again, because of the amount of cooperation and everything that he laid out, he still didn't get the full book thrown at him. And then that second time around is when he agreed to work with the FBI as a full-time informant or whatever.
That's a true story, not the movie.
No, that's a true story, yeah. So after the second prison stint, which is around the time he would have got out, where "Fight the Power" would have been the song, he gets back in the streets as an FBI informant, and then he worked for them for a long time. I mean, close to, I think when he stopped working for them, that's when he started talking to people about the movie. And then that, FBI got all up in arms about it because then, they feel like they look bad with him working for them and his history. So, anyway,
all right.
overrated
movies. Your number 3.
Dumb and Dumber.
How dare you?
Fuck you.
How dare you?
I don't know.
I love that movie. It's dumb. See, to me, it delivers exactly what you'd expect.
So,
all right, why is it overrated in your choice?
Listen, it's funny. I'm not saying it's not funny. I'm not saying it's not good. But you get to a point where people throw quotes at you, right? I haven't seen this movie in 15 fucking years, right? And I got people that I know that I went to fucking high school with, right? That throw me quotes from this movie, right? Like in the middle of serious conversations. Like they'll throw me a Dumb and Dumber quote, right? Lloyd? You all right, man? You good? It's Dumb and Dumber, bro. Right? And then they'll give you the look, right? Like you just
there's something wrong with you,
right?
For
Like
not
you just gave their mom a golden shower, right? Like get the fuck out of here. Like I mean, at the end of the day, like listen, movie was funny. At the time when I was a fucking 13-year-old kid, or however old I was when it came out, but I think I've seen it twice in my life. I don't remember any lines from the movie, which is why I get very annoyed when people, yell them at me and then I don't know and then they want to get upset about it. And, I just, it was good. It wasn't that good, though, that we need to be talking about it, how 20 years after the fact. Then I'm watching Mike and Mike, on Halloween, and they dressed up as Dumb and Dumber. And they're like, this is the greatest thing we've ever done.
This year?
Yeah, this year. They got the real bad tuxedos. The orange and the periwinkle blue tuxedos. Right. And they dressed up as the guys from Dumb and Dumber. And as soon as I turned it on, well, actually, I turned it on. I thought they were doing something from like Clockwork Orange. And I didn't know what it was.
Which would be very bizarre if they were doing that.
Right. I mean, there's a scene where someone gets killed with a giant penis. But then they finally said, "Oh, Dumb and Dumber, where does this rank on the things that we've done?" And like as soon as I heard that, like I just got annoyed. Turn the channel.
I think we just learned why that was on your mind as overrated. If that just happened a couple weeks ago.
Fair.
All right.
Still terrible though. It's not. Well, here's the thing. I'm just saying it's overrated. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's overrated. Like to me,
there are people who think it's one of the greatest comedies of all time, and you're saying it's not that.
I'm saying, like, for me, like, I would swap that. Like, for everyone who wants to scream Dumb and Dumber lines at me, I will scream National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation lines at you until I die. That, to me, is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my fucking life. Still to this day.
That movie hits a personal chord with me because about 15 years ago.
Chase took my girlfriend.
No. my dad, we were at my grandmother's house, and my grandmother was still alive at this time. She died in 2003. And we're like, it's Christmas. We're all crammed into her place for, the holidays. And I'm in the other room, and my dad starts laughing so hard it like shook the house. He was watching Christmas Vacation. I think it was a scene when the woman starts saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag.
And I mean, that was out of character for my dad, and so it became a moment. But my number 3 most overrated is Avatar, because that movie was such a simple plot. Such a predictable everything. And people talked about it had great special effects. Ye fucking ha. You got CGI. Good for you. This movie was Star Wars. It wasn't even Star Wars. It was the most predictable, simple, dopey plot and special effects. And that's it. And there are some people who think that's a great movie. It sucked. I'm going to go out and say it sucked.
So I went to go see it. Funny story about that is... whatever. So it was one of the first movies. It was the first movie I'd ever seen in 3D. Right.
Okay.
I did, like, I'm not a big 3D guy, and I haven't actually. I think it may have actually been the last movie. So the movie's shot in 3D. I get the glasses. I find out that I find out because I'm a fucking moron. So I took my regular glasses off. If you don't know, Steve, am blind as a bat without my glasses. I literally cannot see. Right? If I take my glasses off right now, Jim could be anybody.
I'm 4 feet away from you.
Right, like Jim could be any white guy that I know with a bald head. Literally, like I could be sitting across
from The Rock.
He's not white. I could be sitting across from Michael Smirkanis right now, and I wouldn't know. So I take my actual glasses off. I put the 3D glasses on, thinking that somehow in 3D will correct my vision. The movie comes on. I say I can't see anything. The person I'm with is just like, well, maybe you should put your glasses on. I'm like, how am I supposed to do it? Like, the 3D glasses fit over your regular glasses. Relax.
How old are you for that?
It's Avatar. So whenever the movie came out, I was, I don't know, what was that, 2008 or
somewhere around there.
Yeah, I don't know, I was 28. You know, I mean,
not 12.
Right,
okay.
I wasn't 14.
That's a fair point. Okay.
So my whole thing with Avatar is just first time seeing a 3D film, and the rocks and the plants are coming at me, and I'm like ducking in the theater. And
well, that's good 3D, cinema.
And they were in the 3D, the graphics or whatever, the imagery was really good. I don't agree with you that the story was that bad.
So
it was,
basic, so obvious.
But that's okay. That's all right, right? Like. Not everything.
I just hated it. All right. I mean,
not everything's going to be Citizen Kane, but I mean, come on. It just
fair.
You spent a lot of time and money.
I'm not the target audience. This is another one where personal stuff comes in because I had a friend who just talked to me about how it was one of the best movies he's ever seen, and it was a friend my age, and I started watching it. I'm like, I've seen this movie.
The problem is that the bulk of the money in those movies is spent on the visual
CGI,
effects
right,
and the 3D and everything, right? Like, not CGI is a component, but everything else, right? That's where the money is spent. And so when you get to the script and you get to the actual plot and the story, you're just like, well, I'm not sure that was great. And I'm there with you. Yeah,
here's why it bothers me. There are people who thought that was a great movie, and it was not.
I thought it was very good. I enjoy because
it.
I enjoy. Listen, again, I enjoy John Wick. I like Fast and Furious movies because I can go in and just enjoy them for what they are, and say, all right, it was good. It was good. Fine, they didn't screw anything up major. They did a good job visually. I was wowed.
To be fair, I did not see it at a theater, and I think that's a movie that needed a big screen.
Yeah, you absolutely have to see that movie in a theater. Watching that movie. Even, like, I have a pretty nice TV, and even watching it on my TV is not enough. And even if I had a projector screen, that's not enough. That's a movie you need to see in a big IMAX theater where...
If I had done that, I might have a different opinion.
Right, when you're walking
through I didn't,
through the jungle, you're ducking because you think you're going to get hit in the face with the vine or the lightning bug is too close to you. It's crazy.
All right, so I will give Avatar the benefit of the doubt.
But
because
I will argue. I will not argue with you on the overratedness of Avatar.
Okay.
I won't argue with you on that. But I will say, I think that there's some personal stuff getting in there.
There is definitely.
Right? Personal stuff with you and Avatar.
So you and Dumb and Dumber.
Personal stuff with me and Dumb and Dumber.
All right, let's move to number 2.
For me,
for you,
Rudy. This may be this. This is a debate for me on number 1. Part of the problem is, all right, so Rudy is the movie about the kid who went to Notre Dame and he was a walk-on and he was from a blue collar family and he only played in one game and he got in and he got a sack and it was the greatest thing ever.
Right.
And his teammates gave his jersey up. I'm like, okay, right. Here's my problem with this movie. This is personal.
Okay.
Right? I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. There's a large contingent of Notre Dame fans in Youngstown, Ohio. I
right.
Myself,
no, Buffalo same way.
Right. I myself was a Notre Dame fan until Bob Davie. It was Bob Davie.
Right.
So
that talk about getting personal.
Right. But that's not why I actually hated it before that. Right. So My issue is that people love this movie, and they literally equate this movie to football. Period. Right? Like, any time that a coach or somebody wants to talk, it like from when you're from where I'm from, right? And they want to talk about hard work. They want to talk. They want to motivate a player. They bring up fucking Rudy, right? Like,
Right.
And it's just like hard work wins over talent every time. No, I worked hard. I was really talented. I was better than any non-talented person that worked hard. Period. Anthony DiEugenio worked really hard. He had zero talent. That kid tried to tackle me, and I ripped my knee through his face. Get the fuck out of here.
What?
Right? Like, there's nothing more annoying than hearing, like Rudy is the the Woody Harrelson white man can't jump. Like, see, look, if he could do it, I could do it.
Oh,
right?
see,
Well, that's
that's a
different.
bad choice.
That's a bad choice. But
to me, is Hoosiers without the talent on the field.
Exactly.
And
that's
Hoosiers
a
to
much
me-
better comparison.
Hoosiers
Sorry,
to me is one of them. I think that is one of those overrated movies because people talk about how it's all of this old timey coach who does it right, but yet every game ends with him getting ejected or the team's fighting. It's like,
Right.
wait a minute.
Like,
I should have put Hoosiers on my list. I didn't, but I
right.
should've.
I'm glad. I think that's great. Although I'm a big Gene Hackman fan.
I love Gene Hackman. I
But,
love Dennis
I mean,
Hopper.
that's-
but that movie's terrible.
and
And
just
people love that. I should have put that on my list.
People love
It's an underdog story, and that makes
right,
it
but
touching.
they love these stories. And what's the common theme, right?
Gee, what do you mean, Steve? I don't know what you're saying.
The
What do you mean?
common theme with Hoosiers,
Indiana. They're both in Indiana. That's what you meant.
well, sure. And Hoosiers, actually, I don't know if that's right. Like, I mean, because Hoosiers, like Indiana's, like, especially during the time of these movies were filmed, like most of the athletes are. Well, no, that's not true. It's the white underdog movie.
Right, absolutely.
Right. I mean,
absolutely.
people just love the white underdog movie.
Sure.
Right. I mean, there's like non-athletic guy who could only excel at playing like fucking fast pitch softball. Right. Loves the story. Loves the idea that there was a guy who kind of looked like him who was able to one up a black guy one time. Right. In sports. Like that. I mean, that's what it is. Can we just?
It's definitely the white underdog. I don't know. Was there a one up the black guy in Rudy?
Yeah, because I think the tackle that he beat was
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe
Okay.
maybe that's
All
not
right.
the thing. I mean, just in general,
But
I don't
it is.
fucking
It
know.
is.
It's so fucking annoying.
And
It's just I don't even know what it is. I can't stand fucking Rudy. Right? I watched the fucking
I'm with
movie.
you. I don't like that
and
movie.
there's-
I also don't like Hoosiers.
Right,
And
and
I've
Hoosiers-
gotten lots of white people really mad at me for pointing out how that movie is. Yeah,
Not
it's
good.
It's not.
It's not good.
And literally, like I said, it's all about the good old days where guys did it right. The coach gets kicked out of like 3 games. And the player ends up running the whole thing. Right at the end, the player says, "Coach stays, I play." It's like, okay, all these guys who want it to be about following authority and whatever. You just had an 18-year-old tell you what's going to happen for this town's team.
If you took the movie Hoosiers
I make so many people mad with that.
and flipped it around, and all you would have to do with the movie Hoosiers was make all the players black, every white person who loves it would hate it. Well, I won't say every, but 99%. Right?
If you
flipped it around and made it instead of Indiana, it was Harlem.
If you made it the same and made
Actually,
the coach,
they did.
make the coach black.
They did. It was called Sunset Park
I don't know that movie.
with Rhea Perlman and the guys from Onyx.
I now remember that movie exists. I've never seen it.
Time to get live. Time to represent Sunset Park. What time is it? You remember? Okay.
You know what? The fact that I haven't seen it, probably, yeah, right,
Shocking.
right. Well, it's not like I didn't
Racist.
see. Yeah,
You don't watch movies. You don't
I didn't
watch
watch it
movies
because
with more than 5 black people in them. You racist.
was my number 2 underrated. Never mind. All
Yeah,
right.
but yeah, I mean, so Rudy is up there, and you know, my friends from Youngstown.
Hoosiers belongs to that discussion. too.
It does. One of us should have it, but I mean, Rudy is up there for me. I just that people bring that movie up, and one day one of my eyeballs is going to detach from rolling back in my head so hard. I don't like the movie. I don't care.
I don't
story.
blame.
It's a true story. I get it. It still just drives me insane. Right? I fucking hate it. I hate it. I root for that kid. I've seen that movie 3 times.
You hope he gets chopped
and
off.
I hope that something bad happened. I hope he like somebody
Right.
like he roots a girl or something.
I got to tell you a story now about. There's one of my favorite comics in Cleveland, this guy named Brian Kenny, and he does a joke about how he's playing football his senior year, and this kid who's basically the Rudy of his high school is about to get sent in for the final play of a game that means nothing, and he tells Brian right before he gets on the field, "I'm never going to forget this." And he goes, and he was right, because he gets his leg blown out. He's been walking with a limp for the last 20 years. And Brian Kenny tells the story, laughing hysterically. He goes, "You people aren't laughing because you have souls, but I love this fucking story." I call it the anti-Rudy joke when I talk to him.
That's great.
It is so... Brian Kenny is a phenomenal comic.
I listen. I get the appeal.
Oh, sure.
I do. But as a guy, I mean, it just, to
Brian's
me,
joke is more funny to me in the movie.
there's just, to me, there's nothing appealing about the movie at all. And my friends was just like, "Oh, well, you're blue collar, your family, hard work, dedication, blah, blah, blah." Like this, but the entire movie is about shitting on, it's about propping up a kid who wasn't good enough to be there, right? He wasn't good enough to be there. Right, academically or physically, he wasn't good enough to be there. Rudy now is a dude who, he's a motivational speaker or whatever.
What's the actor's name? It's a kid from he was Samwise Gamgee in Lord of the Rings.
And then he was in 50 First Dates, and he wore the short football jersey or whatever.
I've never seen 50 First Dates. What's his name?
Adam.
Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. I know the movie, but I can't remember the actor's name. Sean Austin?
I don't know.
All right.
Either I hate
I was
them.
about to look it up, but I think that's.
But
right.
I mean, like, so. But anyway, so I'm not a fan. Now here's the problem. Here's the problem. If our show ever goes to the big time, right? Like,
you just fucked us, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, Notre Dame contingency is very big. I know one of my very close friends right now is losing. He probably stopped listening. Right? He's so upset right now because he's such a diehard Notre Dame fan, loves the movie. Right? In high school, I didn't know how to defend this. Right? I knew I hated the movie, and I said I didn't like it, and everybody jumped all over me, so I didn't have a good defense. Now I'm just like, fuck you, movie sucked. Fuck that kid. He would have never made it on the field. I would have made sure that kid never made it in a game. I would have made sure that motherfucker, they would have never put him in a game. I would have buried him so hard. I wouldn't have purposely injured him, but I would have ran him over so hard that he could have physically not played. I would have made sure he was in such a fucking fucked up emotional state that there was no way that he could have the confidence to go in the game. They would have said, "Rudy, go in the game." He's like, nah, I'm good. I'm good.
All right, now I'm going to use a line from The Departed. "You should really get help, Francis."
Fuck that. Fuck that kid.
All
Fuck
right,
that kid.
all right.
That
We
kid,
need
like,
to move- we
watching
need to
that
move
movie.
on.
No, we don't. Watching that movie, watching him fucking, like, run, like, just do the shit that he did, I'm just like, you fucking bury him, you take his neck, and you drive it into the ground, and if you don't fucking break his neck, then fuck you, you're not trying hard enough. Fuck that kid. He would have never played. And it would, what I will take from that is that it would have made me a better player, because my life's mission would have been to make sure that motherfucker never played. My life's mission would have been to rip his soul out and make him not want to play football anymore. Fuck him, fuck Rudy, fuck that movie, and if you have a problem with it, come see me.
Okay. Little intense, Steve.
I'm not a fan.
Little intense.
I'm not a fan.
I won't get nearly as intense in my number 2. Because I thought the movie Crash sucked. And it won Best Picture. And that's why, all right, so here's my story with Crash. If you don't know the movie, it's basically Los Angeles. Let's play every racial stereotype on the best side and worst side with the same 5 people, all happening in a 48-hour period, including the really dumb end when a guy tries to shoot someone and a little girl jumps in between them, but she's saved by the fact that she's shooting a blank. And if you shoot anyone at that distance with a blank, they die. Anyway, so from a technical standpoint, that was dumb, but the whole movie was fucking... There's some very entertaining scenes in the movie. My favorite scene in the movie is the two black guys in the get into an argument, and one of them says he's arguing about why buses have clear windows. It was just to humiliate people of color that have to ride them. And the response is there a Kings game tonight? You don't even like hockey. You're just asking that to piss me off. That was the one scene in that movie that I liked. Just overrated. It should not have been Best Picture. I don't remember what it was up against, but it was up against better movies. And there's some really dumb... I mean, Matt Dillon goes from being the most disgusting human being on the planet, where he physically violates a woman in a traffic stop in front of her husband, to diving into a burning car and pulling her out. Sandra Bullock goes from being an obnoxious racist bitch to hugging her Hispanic housekeeper, saying, "You're my only friend." Awful. The white cop that gets into the fight with Matt Dillon goes from being, a do-gooder to a guy who pulls a gun and shoots a black guy and then burns a car to hide the evidence. I mean, quite a cycle for all these people in one fucking day.
So I wasn't a fit. Like, there's a weird scene where Don Cheadle just starts running. You know
Right.
that scene?
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Like, where are you going? They don't explain that very
Right,
well, right?
right.
Like, I mean, he just like he's supposed to be doing X, and then he just takes off and starts running.
He goes Forrest Gump, yeah.
Yeah, but that's literally that's the last we see of him, and then that's one of the last 10 minutes of the movie, right? And then I think after that they go to the bus scene, and that's it. So I will not argue with you on this.
And one of the black guys that I don't remember the actor. Oh shit! And it should be because he's anyway. He goes from being angry militant to busting up a human trafficking ring.
It just
forced.
Yeah, it wasn't like I went to go see it in the theater, and I remember thinking, this is not good. But I also remember thinking, if I say that out loud, I know people are going to be pissed.
See,
right?
I saw it on DVD after it had won Best Picture. I borrowed it from a friend. So I'm expecting greatness, and I did not get greatness.
It wasn't. I
didn't get good. I mean, there are great cast. Some acting performances are very good.
And maybe that's part of the problem, right? It was one of those movies where you had, 10 really big names.
At least, yeah.
That were known. Varying levels of stardom, but you had 10 well-known names in that movie.
Was Ludacris one of the two guys in the?
Yeah, he was. And so you just. I think they tried to put too much into one thing, and they tried to put too many themes in, right? And they wanted to correct all the social wrongs.
It won Best Picture, I think, because of its social stance, and not because of the quality of the movie.
And what's funny is that type of movie is something that I can see someone's going to put something similar to that out in the next year, right? You're going to see something where all racial wrongs are solved in one, 90-minute movie. No, it'll be probably 2.5 hours.
Right, 2.5 hour movie.
Right, but they're going to solve all the problems of the world. There's going to be two types of movies that are going to come out. All the problems with race and all that stuff are going to be solved in 2.5 hours, by a white guy and a black guy. And then all the issues with women are going to be solved by a white guy, who comes in and saves a woman from a bad situation. But ultimately, he's going to fix it with his dick. That's going to be the solution. Hi, I'm incredibly handsome. And I'm here to let you know that you don't have to do this so hard. You don't have to work so hard. You don't have to be. I'm going to save you. And take this dick, girl. Take this. And he's going to fix it.
With his dick. All right. Moving on to number one. And I'm not upset about this, but I kind of am. Because we agreed on number ones on both sides. We both said that the most overrated movie of all time
Titanic.
Fucking awful movie.
Oh, God.
I mean, first of all, Kate Winslet is a very talented actress. I like Leonardo DiCaprio. Fine. The script, fucking horrible. Horrible. It was visually spectacular. The boat was amazing, and
Jim, I think you got a thing with James Cameron.
Fuck James Cameron.
So you
That's
do
right. I
have a
did.
thing.
I did.
Oh,
You know what?
You do
You're
have
right.
a thing with James Cameron.
Yes, because he's. I'm going to wave the shiny object in front of you, and that's good enough. All right. I have
Relax.
pissed off.
Take a deep breath.
Oh, you're going to tell me to relax. They
Get
just
it-
wanted
get
to
it
rip
up.
out Rudy's soul. Is telling me to relax. Okay. Movie sucked balls. Period. I have made so many people mad at me about this because I do an imitation of the scene. There's a scene where Leonardo DiCaprio is like handcuffed to a steam pipe, and he tells Kate Winslet to take a swing with an axe and then try to hit the same spot twice. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, if she chops off both of your hands right now, you're better off than waiting. And it ends with one, because once you have one hand chopped off, you're fine. And of course, she comically misses horribly. So I have reenacted that scene to piss off coworkers in the past, and it worked magnificently. There was a girl who wouldn't speak to me for a day because I pointed out how stupid that was.
Yeah.
And James Cameron sucks.
Okay. So this is the thing with you and James Cameron. Don't be so angry.
Not Michael Bay bad, but
See, again, Michael Bay is just
actually
fun.
he's made some fun movies. All right, like The Rock.
Face-Off?
The Rock.
The Rock?
The Rock
Right.
is a
It's
dumb
fun
movie,
movies.
but it's
dumb.
fun.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. You're like, no, this isn't accurate or true, but it's fun.
But it's fun.
Right.
I can live with that.
Lose
I
yourself.
guess Titanic was supposed to have some level of historical and realistic edge to it. It wasn't pure action. It was a romance. It was whatever. And sink the fucking boat is all I can say.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Boat goes down. Wait, and I don't feel bad about telling you that if you haven't seen Titanic.
In fairness, we are not the target audience. I mean, that movie was targeted towards 13
Right,
and
we are
14-year-old
not
girls.
the target. We are not the target audience. And the other part that sucked about that movie was the song. Celine Dion. Yes. Stop. Don't.
No,
Don't.
yep.
Don't.
I can't sing bad. She's got a great voice. I'll give Celine Dion credit.
Yes.
But that song is brutal.
The song
yes.
is brutal. Right? I mean,
And the whole "I'm king of the world" would just fall off the edge of the boat,
world,
please.
Everything. I
Get
mean,
sucked into a rudder.
And so we're we're not the demographic on the movie, which is part of the problem. Right? Like, so that's so
No, it's part of the
obviously-
solution.
Yes, agreed. So we're not the demographic for the movie. You do everything to market it away from us. And when you actually watch the movie and break it down, putting on amateur film critic hat, then you don't. Yeah, as much as I criticize the amateur film critic, I need the amateur film critic to step up and say, please reinforce that this is awful, right?
I
Like, the
heard a
story
story. I heard a story that DiCaprio was like hiding the week it came out. He knew it was trash. He was expecting to get publicly mocked. And when it turned into be a huge success, he was like, yeah, this is great. I forget what movie he was promoting at the time. It might have been The Man in the Iron Mask, which was also cheesy as fuck. But he knew it was garbage.
You got to pay your dues as an actor.
Hey, I don't blame him for taking it, dude. He made millions off that movie.
To be honest with you, I don't know if that's true. Because entertainment contracts are weird. I took entertainment law in law school. I'm not saying that makes me an expert, but reading through entertainment contracts, they are not. It's not the glamorous thing that it is, right? Like, I mean, you have certain people who make shit tons of money, right? But I mean, they get crazy contracts where they get $25 million for a movie and they do 3 movies a year. So they're the 1%, right? But entertainment contracts are not very straightforward and they're very complex. And there are a lot of ways to not make money in Hollywood, even if you're in a blockbuster movie. So,
I don't know.
I have no idea what he made off of that, depending on how he set his contract up, though. I mean, if you don't have, I could see it going one of 2 ways. You look at it and say, you look at the script and say, this is going to be fucking terrible, but I need the work. It may get some traction with some teen girls and get a little bit of popularity, so I'll do it. And so you take the low end, and you'll do the DVD or VHS at the time, royalties or whatever, and you adjust the percentages on that, or you feel that it's going to be the blockbuster, so you want the upfront money, and you take a lower end on the royalties.
Of course, if you're doing Titanic, you're probably not counting on making money on the sequel.
Well,
or if you are, you need a better agent.
This is the benefit of working with a comedian.
A comedic. All right,
benefit
man.
of working with a comedian.
Let's
So
shut
anyway,
this.
ladies and gentlemen, that is Stephen Jim's
Fucking around, drinking, and talking
overrated movies. I had fun. I thought this was cathartic. Obviously, I got my
your Rudy rant is now on public record.
Rudy Rage is on public record. I don't know if I ever see that guy who played him in person. I'm sure he'll probably have something to say about. Or if I ever meet Rudy,
I'm thinking I'm confident you'll be okay in that regard. All right, man. It was fun. Let's shut this down.
Pound it.
Out.